Hi everybody, Tumble from Sun Racing here. Welcome to the Sun Racing preview of the opening 2 days of the York Ebor meeting. It is a fantastic few days of racing, plenty of stars on show. And to start off with, I'm joined by Harriet Fuller of Sun Racing and Templegate, Steve Mullin of the Sun, to discuss the Juddmonte International amongst many other top-class races, which is the feature race on the opening day. Guyarth, the hot favourite, having won the Eclipse so well last time, beating the one and only Enable. We also have Kamiko, we also have Lord North and Magical in the lineup, as well as a few others. Steve, got to come to you first for the big race. Where's your money going on this?
Yeah, what a fantastic race this is. I mean, they've all turned up, haven't they? Most of them anyway. And I've certainly been guilty of maybe what we do in British racing and poo-pooing Gayet a little bit because everything he's done has been overseas. But that's firmly in the past now, and the way he floored Enable last time. Now, I know Enable wasn't fully wound up and all the rest of it, but it was a superb effort. We marked him down as a front runner who would get bothered and all the rest of it, but he just runs the legs off them. And I think he's gonna do it again. I mean, this is some good rivals. I mean, it'll be very interesting to see how Kamiko gets on over this 10 furlongs for the first time. And then, you know, Lord North, Seamus, no Frankie and all the rest of it. But I think Gayet just looks really hard to beat.
Harry, would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I mean, God, he was just so impressive in the Eclipse. It was something that I was going to go against him, and like Steve has said, I've definitely kind of underestimated him. He was really impressive. I think for me though, I'm going to slightly look a little bit further down the betting at Lord North. I mean, it's amazing that he's gone from a Cambridgeshire winner to now Group 1 winner in less than a year. He's got such a progressive profile, and I can't help but being, very impressed by his Prince of Wales Stakes win at Royal Ascot. And I just think, this is the toughest kind of field he's come up against. Obviously, Magical in her own right is such a tough old mare, and Kamiko, like Steve said, it's going to be very interesting stepping up in trip. But I do feel that this trip is perfect for Lord North, and if he can show that turn of foot, he might just be able to run down the favourite.
Harry, I'm so glad you said that because I am in total agreement. I think Lord North is the one. That potent turn of foot can see off Guyarth, who I think will get an unchallenged lead. I don't think Magical is going to go with him because I don't think Connections will want Magical up there because it could bottom her out because he is such a fantastic galloper that I think he just could get his own way. But that potent turn of foot, Lord North's only got £3 to find with the favourite, and he is progressing all the time, as you say. So hopefully Harry and I are correct, and Steve, hopefully you're not, but in the nicest way possible. Next up on the opening day, we have the Aiken Stakes, which, as usual, is a cracking little contest full of lightly raced, once and twice raced colts going for this prize. We are headed, of course, by Cloudbridge, who won at Leicester recently in the Godolphin Blue debut. That was a really nice performance for Charlie Appleby. Darvel looked a nice prospect at Ayr recently. Gear Up won, of course, at York on debut. Praise of Shadows, a very impressive win at Chester last week. Roll Scimitar for Clive Cox, who won nicely on debut as well. Harriet, come to you first this time. Who takes your eye on this one?
Right, so like you say, it's another really, really good field here. I'm gonna kind of side with Chester winner Praise of Shadows. I was really impressed by his performance. He was hampered at the start, and he was kind of like pushed along to get up with everyone. But then coming from that start, he was then suddenly 4 lengths clear as they're kind of coming into the closing stages, and he was just eased down to win. There looked to be plenty left in the tank there, and it's one of those races which just it could be any of them. They're all unexposed. They all look to be pretty smart. But yeah, I'm going to take a chance on him.
Great stuff, Harriet. And Templegate, what's your verdict on the race? It's full of really exciting prospects, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those. It's going to be very informative for later in the season. I mean, I don't think Cloudbridge did very much wrong at all at Leicester last time. Picked up really strongly, didn't have an awful lot to beat, but he was still green and yet was still able to find a very good turn of foot. And I think there's an awful lot more to come from that one. At a price, Broxy has done all right a couple of times at Musselburgh, coming from Keith, Kenny Dalglish. And I think if there's a bit of cut underfoot, which I think there might be because there's some rain around, I think he could sneak into the frame at a reasonable price. But I think Cloudbridge is the one to beat.
Clabber's the one to beat for Steve there, and they got off in blue. Produced a very nice performance at Leicester. I'm going to go with Darvel. I thought he was an impressive winner up at Ayr, and he beat a Mark Johnston horse who'd previously bolted up at Newcastle. I think that form looks strong. We know how good Kevin Ryan is at the York Ebor meeting, so he'll do for me, Darvel. But I was also impressed with the Gear Up and Praise of Shadows on their respective debuts, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they get on as well. On now to the 245, the Sky Bet Great Voltage Stakes, a Group 2 over a mile and a half. This one, now we see a lot of Derby runners here. We've got Mogul, Berkshire, Rocco, Pile Driver, Subjective S, Darrain, Highland Chief, Roberto Escobar, and Juan Alcano. Templegate, I'll come to you first this time. I mean, it's an interesting race. We've got Mogul and we've got Subjectivist, both of whom ran at Goodwood. But we've also got the youngsters coming through, the more exposed 3-year-olds, Darrain and Roberto Escobar. What kind of side are you looking at in this race?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I do think the Goodwood form will probably work out, and they'll quite possibly finish in the same order as they did last time. From that point of view, I think Mogul's the best of those. Be very interested to see how Darrain gets on. I mean, on breeding, could be a superstar, very closely related to Too Darn Hot, as we know, cost over 3 million quid, so should really enjoy this longer trip as well. And you've got Roberto Escobar in there as well, who's another one who I think will really improve for the step up in distance, and William Haggis does really well at this meeting, as we know. I mean, I've come down on Mogul just on balance. I'm not thrilled with the price around 2 to 1, but I do think we can confirm the Goodwood form, but I think Roberto Escobar will run well at a much bigger price as well.
Great stuff. One for the Coolmore boys there for Templegate then. What about you, Harriet? What do you think?
I'm going to take a gamble on the world's most expensive yearling in 2018, which is Darrain. I mean, like Steve mentioned, he's related to Too Darn Hot, Somi Dar, Lati Dar. And last year, John Gosden won this with a really nice, progressive, improving horse, Logician. And I think Darrain can kind of follow in those footsteps. He's done everything right so far. Obviously, he's totally inexperienced at the moment compared to some of his rivals. But I'm just not sure Mogul is a superstar. And I don't think all those kind of horses around him are anything really special. Whereas I think Darrain has the potential to go on to be something, a little bit different in a different class of his own. So yeah, I'm going to take a chance on him.
Lovely, one of the more unexposed runners, along with Roberto Escobar, who is my fancy, actually. I was very taken with his win at York last time, beat 4 lengths, beaten a horse who had Matthew Flinders, who had previously won a race. That form looks really strong. And I don't think much of the 3-year-old middle distance colts this year in general. I mean, I know they've got slightly higher form in terms of ratings and that kind of thing, but they haven't really taken me as much. And I'm hoping Roberto Escobar and Darrain could prove in time to be a cut above the rest of these. So we'll see how they get on. But it's a really interesting contest, as are most of them on the opening day. On now, we are going to discuss the Sky Bet Handicap. Most of these handicaps this week at York are very, very competitive, and this one is no different. Over 2 miles, we have the likes of Monsieur Lambray's Make My Day, and also Volcanic Sky at the top of the market. And there's also plenty down the bottom in Solo Saxophone, Rochester House, who ran well at Goodwood last time. We've got Roginski, who's been plying his trade, and Just Hubert, who won very well at Glorious Goodwood. So there's plenty in this with big chances, plenty of these are proven over 2 miles, which is often what you need in this kind of race. Harriet, come to you first. It's a cracking little handicap, this one. Who is going to land the stamina-laden prize for you?
Well, I'm kind of hoping Volcanic Sky. I mean, I was really impressed with this Kempton win, and I know Steve was too. And he is just as good on turf as well. And this trip obviously seems to suit him. I mean, you can't help but kind of, be taken aback by his win last time. So he'll be my main selection, but I would like to give a little mention to Rochester House, who you did briefly mention. He bounced back to form at Goodwood. He takes a little drop in trip now from that Goodwood contest. And if he can keep that kind of form going again, then I reckon he could sneak into the places.
Yeah, Rochester House definitely ran a massive race at Goodwood last time from the front. He certainly did. A classic Mark Johnston toughie. Steve, where are you going?
Yeah, I agree with Harriet. Volcanic Sky, I thought, was extremely impressive at Kempton last time. Managed to do a lot more than just plod on at the end of 2 miles. It was actually picking up really nicely. Deserves this step up in class. I know he's got to give plenty of weight away, but I'm not sure that'll be too much of a problem. Machine Murphy on for Saeed. And last year's winner, Eddystone Rock, is worth a look. I know he's done absolutely nothing since winning this last year, but as a result, comes back off a pound lower in the handicap. And we know everything suits about the trip and track. and I think he's about 20-1. So that's got to be a shout for each way. But I do think Volcanic Sky will take a lot of stopping in this.
Agreement amongst the panel. Lovely to see. I'm going to go with Monsieur Lombraise. I was very taken by the fact that he stepped up to 2 miles last time. He won really nicely that time. And I have to say, Tom Clover is a trainer going places. His strike rate is absolutely superb. So I can see that one running a really big race. Not quite as big a price as Volcanic Sky, but if it wins, it wins. Now, moving on to Thursday, where, of course, Love is the headline act in the Yorkshire Oaks. She was so impressive at Epsom. When last seen in the Investec Oaks, that was a fantastic performance. She is again taking on Frankly Darling. Another one of John Gosden's horses, Franconia, is in the lineup as well. Alpinista for Sir Mark Prescott, who won very nicely last week, and Manuela De Vega, who's got to give weight away. And for me, the most interesting runner in the race, who is One Voice taking her on. I thought that was a really nice performance behind Fancy Blue in the Nassau last time. She'd be my pick in this if I'd like to go first. I thought that was a wonderful turn of foot she showed, and hopefully the step up to 1.5 miles will see her down the favourite. Are you taking on Love, Harriet Fuller?
Well, at the prices you have to. She isn't really a betting prospect for us, is she? I mean, what is she, 4-9 at the moment? For all of us everyday punters, that's not going to be a price which you're going to make much money on. As much as I do think that, she is the one to beat, and she may well just run away with this. One that I'd like to kind of put in at a bigger price is Manuela De Vega. I think she's even better than ever this year. She's definitely in each way selection. She was really good in the Lancashire Oaks, and her Pinnacle Stakes win has got really good form there. Fanny Logan, who came second, then went on to win the Hardwick at Royal Ascot. So, the form has got substance, which sometimes these earlier races don't tend to have. I think she's better than ever this year. I really liked her when, back in her 3-year-old season, going for the Oaks, and where she didn't run badly at all. And I think just with time, she's still progressing. Obviously, she has to give weight away, which is, that is the sticking point. But I think she'll be running a pretty good race.
Lovely. Ray Beckett, we know, is so good with his fillies. It would be some performance from her to give the weight away, and Harriet reckons she can do it. Steve, what do you think? Is Love a certainty?
Well, if there's a downpour, we know Manuela De Vega loves heavy ground. It was really testing when winning the Lancashire Oaks. So if it comes up soft, then you would rate up Manuela De Vega's chances. But I just think Love was so good in the Oaks. I mean, ridiculous, wasn't it? So I think I just can't see anything getting close to it unless it goes bottomless. One Voice I'd put down as it's not rocket science. One Voice I think will finish second. I think that was a really good run in the Nassau at Goodwood, and I think Franconia will come out on top of the battle of the Gosden pair. So if the ground's still decent, Love to beat One Voice with Franconia third is my prediction for the race.
Lovely, a forecast there from Steve Mullen, aka Templegate. Moving on now to the opening race of the afternoon, which is the Sky Bet Lowther Stakes, the flying fillies over the 6-furlong trip. We have got Sacred, who is heading the market for Tom Marquand and William Haggis for a big race at Royal Ascot. Fantosha, who's done nothing but improve for David Loughnane. Great to see him with a really, really smart filly. And a few others in there, including Miss Amulet, Sussex Garden, and Halla, who's had a wind operation. Steve, I'll come to you first for the fillies here. Do you think Sacred is a good favourite? Do you think she's going to win? And if not, who do you fancy?
Yeah, I think she's definitely the right favourite. I mean, it took a mighty effort by one of Wesley Ward's 22-year-olds masquerading as a juvenile at Royal Ascot last time. And even then, there wasn't an awful lot in it, was there? I mean, we've only got the form to go on that we've seen so far, and that's several lengths ahead of the rest of these, I think. Like you say, Santosha was a big improver in the Princess Margaret Stakes. Was hanging a bit there, and maybe that was just an experience, and maybe she's got more. Well, she's definitely got more to come, and she's gone well on fast and soft ground, so that kind of takes that out of it. And Jessica Harrington sending one over, and that always sets a little alarm bell going for me in terms of maybe beating Sacred, but I think she's got a bit to find with that one. But Sussex Garden is the one I'm slightly concerned about, because I know the Harrington horses only come over if they've got a big chance. But that Sacred run in the Queen Mary was really good, and I think she can back that up.
Lovely. Another very, very good one for Cheveley Park, it looks like. Being. Harriet, who's your eye on this?
I mean, obviously, as Steve said, Sacred was really, really really good Ascot, and I thought she was going to get there. I was a little bit gutted, actually, to be honest, but I'm actually going to go against her this time, and I'm going to go for Hala, if I've said that right. She was a little bit unlucky last time in the Princess Margaret Stakes. She was really slowly into stride, and she kind of sat at the back of the field, and then she came through with a really nice run, to kind of come second. And I think now that she's had that wind up as well, we could see a different horse coming into this race. And with that behind her, I think she's only going to improve more from that. So yeah, I'm gonna give her a chance.
Hala for Kevin Ryan. We know how well he does at York. That wind operation and first time tongue-tie looking to make a difference to her. I'm going to go with Miss Amulet, who beat the fabulously speedy Frenetic last time out in Ireland. That was a really nice performance, and I think the step up to 6 furlongs could be just the tickets for James Doyle and Ken Condon's contender. Moving on now to the Clipper Logistics Handicap, or Heritage Handicap, always a beltingly good race, and this year is no exception. Possibly the most interesting runner in the race is Top Rank, having almost taken top rank in just his short career to date. He's only had 4 starts, but has won them all for James Tate and is clearly going the right way. But there are some plenty of very, very plausible contenders in this, headed, of course, by Prompting, who won the Unibet Golden Mile at Glorious Goodwood last time out. Chalier down the bottom, who's been backed again for David O'Mara. He's got a strong hand in this race with Firmament 2, who won last time at York. There's Documenting in there under Kieran Fallon Jr., Montatham as well, Sabuska. The list goes on and on. Steve, where have you come down in this contest?
Yeah, my tracker that I use to keep an eye on horses I want to look back next time gave me 8 runners in this race. Yeah, great. All my old favourites have turned up. I mean, I'm a big fan of Montatham. Won well at Sandown, ran so well in the Royal Hunt Cup as well, going up the weights. That's a Busker and Prompting race is the one I'm focusing on, and I think Prompting, you may have got the best of the run, but I think it was a pretty good win at Glorious Goodwood last time, and I'm surprised that his mark is still 95. I mean, I think that warranted 3 figures, to be quite honest, the way he's run, and he's landed 3 in a row, £6 rise. I think Sir Busker will be closer this time because he was unlucky at Goodwood. But I think Prompting can just confirm that form. And you've got the likes of Chalier in there, who's been running well without winning. And like you say, Top Rank could be anything really, 100% record so far. So it's a fantastic race. And I haven't even mentioned Firmament, which is another one of York specialists. He was off the same mark as when winning last time. If you take his rider's claim into account, we could be here all day, but I'll go for Prompting.
You could indeed. Great stuff. Prompting for David O'Mara to continue that fine run and build up the full-timer. Harriet, where are you coming down on?
Oh, goodness, this race has been doing my head in all day. I think I've changed about 5 times. There's so many horses in here that are in with a big chance, obviously Prompting. I'm going to go with Sabuska. I was sitting with my head in my hands at Goodwood, watching him on the rail there. He was so unlucky. It was just one of those races. It was a typical Goodwood race, wasn't it? But yeah, no, I'm going to go with Sabuska. Prior to that, he won the Silver Royal Hunt. A cup at Ascot, he's clearly still in very good form, and that Goodwood run was just it was a no run really at the end of the day. He didn't have anywhere to go, and I can't say he would have beaten Prompting, but I think he would have been pretty close. And yeah, I'm going to give him a chance to make amends here. Hopefully, it'll be a much better luck story for him. He's clearly very talented and has it in him to win a race like this. So fingers crossed, with a clear run, he can be right there.
Indeed, Sabuska, a very, very consistent animal for the William Knight, I should say, not Clive Cox, William Knight team. Sheen Murphy on board there. I'm going to go with Documenting for Kieran Fallon Jr., having won at York last time. He's taken a big rise in the weights, but I've always thought he's a stakes performer in the making, so hopefully he can prove that in this contest. Before we go, I would like to nominate a best bet of the couple of days from both of you. And before I do that, I'd just like to say the Goffs UK Premier Yearling Stakes at 2:15 on Thursday should be one-way traffic for Devious Company. I'm very, very sweet on him. So he's my best bet of the 2 days. Harriet, where would you like to go for your best bet?
I'm going to head for Darrain in the Great Boltiger.
Lovely stuff. Darrain to make it 3 out of 3. And Steve, what about you?
I'll go for Volcanic Sky in the 3:45 on Wednesday.
Great stuff for the boys in blue. Guys, thank you very much indeed. Really enjoyed that opening 2 days at York. It really is a feast of racing. There's some top class stuff there. Very exciting handicaps as well. And yeah, best of luck to you all at home, and we will see you all very soon.
Love it.